Hello, let's talk through creating transactions ahead of time and then having them match up within the bank feed. So you may have already noticed that when you look in the bank feed, there are these matched green squares that show up, and that is when a transaction was created ahead of time and now it's matching up to the bank feed. So there are a lot of reasons why you might want to do this, your process this way. Let's say if you're, maybe you have a bookkeeper that's coming in or an office manager and they want to do a lot of the bookkeeping ahead of time so that the data matches up later. That's one thing you might want to do. Or if you like to have more real-time data, you want a more real bank balance, then you might want to be adding your transactions as they happen, so you can see them reflected in the bank balance and then make decisions based off of that. So, or you just like to be organized that way. You like to put all your transactions in at once and then they can match up later and you don't have to worry about what's coming in. Some of you may do that, and some of you may just see the transactions as they come in and categorize them directly. So it's kind of up to you and how your processes are set up. But let's go through a few sample transactions where we are creating the transaction first and then having it match up within the bank feed. So let's start with this Pam Seats. We have paid her to reimburse her for travel. So let's create a check. Let's say that we initiated a check to her. So we'll choose her name here. She's already in there. Make sure it's coming out of the right bank account. That's the checking. The payment date, I think, was around 11/13. This is travel reimbursement, already populated for us. Must have done this in the past. And $75. And then we have a check number populating just based on the order that was previously there. And then we would hit save. So now we can see that Pam's transaction is matching up to where it actually hits the bank feed. So when that money actually goes out of the bank, now it's matching up to that transaction we created, and we can just hit match. So very nice. If you go through, enter all of your transactions up front, then you come into the bank feed and everything's matching up nicely. Always remember to review it before you match it up, because sometimes it will match the wrong transaction or do something funky. So you want to make sure you're checking it. So that was a check. Let's do some income coming in. So we got some income from a rental here for $200. And let's say we just made a sale with them and we want to create a sales receipt that we will have later match up to the deposit. So let's go in again to our quick create over here, choose sales receipt. And we would choose a rental. And the date, we would want to make sure it deposits. If it's just a single deposit, we can do it directly into the checking account. Let's say this was for some design work and it was for $200. And then we could put a note if we wanted to, and then we are pretty good. So we're not going to send it. It's just, we're just putting in the receipt into QuickBooks, but you could feel free to send it to that person. So now we've created our sales receipt and it's matching up to that deposit that we made in our bank account. So then we would always double check it. So you can double check it by clicking on the blue text, see that everything looks right, and hit match. So we'll go through sales receipts and invoices in our invoicing course. That's just sort of a brief overview of how we would create that transaction ahead of time and then match it up in the bank feed. And the last one let's do is just a regular expense. We already did a check, but pretty much the same thing. Let's say this Books by Bessie for $75. So we know that we went, used our credit card and bought something from Books by Bessie. And we're just going to record it now while it's fresh in our mind. Came out of the checking. Let's say we have a debit card, can put the date in. This was for some books for continuing education, $75, and that's it. So we've created that expense, and it should now match up automatically. So again, always double check it. Is this the right expense? Yes, it is. And then we would hit match. So again, you would be doing all of this at once. You'd be adding all of your different transactions that you had maybe in a day or a week, and then come back and match up all of those transactions you created within the bank feed. So really good way to be organized.